So Ya is to call someone. And we use this with Ya Allah, help us. Now, using it with the Prophet ﷺ, sometimes when a crisis takes place or a calamity, we say Ya Rasulullah. Now, this is called Istegatha. You're seeking help and refuge from the Prophet ﷺ, and this is major kufr. This is shirk. Because this is only possible with Allah Azza wa Jal.
You know, when these Wahhabis, they are asked, they say that it's haram to call the Prophet. Ayatollah Subhani says that you saying this is shirk itself. What they are saying is a shirk, but they don't understand. So to have some extraordinary powers for some prophets doesn't mean that, you know, nobody can do that, only Allah can do that, otherwise it's shirk. This is very narrow-minded Bedouin desert mentality of the Arab of Hijaz to think like that. And unfortunately, some people calling themselves learned people, and now they are repeating the same thing.
إذ قال الله يا عيسى ابن مريم اذكر نعمتي عليك وعلى والدتك إذ أيدتك بروح القدس.
When you look at the function of Wilayah of the Prophet, Wilayah itself can bring a specific capabilities and empowers Prophet with specific powers that others may not have. You have to bear in mind that when you're talking Wilayah Takwini, the term which is coined is not that much old, might be 2 centuries. But the concept was there. I mean, the previous ulama, even though they didn't use the term Wilayah Takwini, but they used to believe in the concept. So the new terminology, so when we say that the terminology is new, it doesn't mean that the concept also is new. When you today are giving a specific name to something, it doesn't mean that it came to existence from today. It was there, they used to believe in that, but now a new term is being used for that. From among Shia scholars, there are few that they were influenced. One was influenced by Wahhabi ideology. He was known as to be the Wahhabi Shia, Sayyid Abul Fazl Burqai. And he was a preacher of Wahhabi ideologies. He had some background of political challenges. Anyhow, he chose a specific lifestyle, and he used to preach, even though he claimed that I'm Shia, still Shia, but he used to reject lots of Shia views, and even he translated some Wahhabi books. And so he was influenced by them. He is the person who claims that he rejects the Wilayah, Takwini, the creational kind of Wilayah. He came to say that the miracles which are done by the prophets is not their job, but Allah did it. It's the job of Allah, and it is only to prove that these prophets are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he says, even if we say that it is done by the Prophet, it is only for the limited occasion. It doesn't mean that he has the absolute power to do whatever. So at least to this extent he accepts that we might accept that the prophets may have power, but to do that a specific job which is given permission by Allah. Another one is Sayyid Muhammad Hussein Fazlullah, the Lebanese scholar. He had a very apologetic approach, and also he used to say that his approach was very to sort of make Shia close to Sunnis, and whatever was accepted by Sunnis, in many cases he used to support it, even the Shahada of Lady Fatima Zahra in these stories, just to make, to remove the challenges. So he's not that much academic. I mean, at least the text is not supporting to what he used to say. Then he also rejects the idea of Wilayah Takwini. He says that, of course, if somebody says Wilayah is in a sense that Allah has given them the full authority, and then it's not in the hand of Allah anymore, so Allah has given them there is a kind of absolute empowerment. This is Tawhid, and this is not acceptable. That we also believe in that. This is what we also agree with him. Then he says that Allah has given to the prophets and to imams a specific power that they use it in their imama or in their prophethood, and they do some extraordinary things. And the point is that in these miracles, the prophets they are not capable to do it by themselves, and this is the will of Allah, in a sense that they request Allah and Allah does it. So the function of the prophet or imam is only to request. The concept that we are studying here is to say that the prophets, even though they said we are humans like you, it doesn't mean that they were humans in all sense and they didn't have any power. They didn't have any extraordinary power. Even though they were human and they said we are humans like you, so we cannot give you whatever you want. You know, sometimes they ask something which was nonsense. They said, show us Allah to us. It's impossible to show Allah to people. Or sometimes they said something which is harmful. They said, make the heaven to collapse on the earth and the whole earth to be exploded. This is nonsense. Or sometimes they ask things that even if the prophets were about to bring, it wasn't to support their prophethood. They said, if you are a prophet, so show us a big garden with lots of trees. So if the prophet was about to show them a big garden, they say, okay, you are a rich person. So if it is going to be a sign of a prophethood, so all these aristocrats, rich people, they are prophets. So the request was not reasonable. In these occasions, the prophets didn't accept the request that they had for miracle. And they said we are humans like you, means that we do things that Allah has permitted us. But it doesn't mean that the prophets didn't have any power. When we look at Qur'an doesn't support the idea to say that the prophet was not involved. The prophet just asked and Allah did everything. Look at the verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 110. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to Isa alayhi salam. إِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ يَا إِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ. When Allah said, oh Isa, اذكر نعمتي عليك وعلى والدتك. Remember my blessing to you and to your mother. As أيدتك بروح القدس. I supported you by Ruhul Qudus. Ruhul Qudus was with you. This Ruhul Qudus is important. When Ruhul Qudus is there, the support of Ruhul Qudus comes, then you can do extraordinary things. What was that? تكلم الناس في المهد. You spoke to people while you were in cradle. So Isa talked to people or Allah talked to people? Fazlullah is saying that Allah does it, but he just requests Allah to do it. The Prophet just requests Allah to do it. Isa was requesting Allah to speak, or Isa was speaking to people? Isa was speaking. So speaking as a miracle, this is a miracle, isn't it? For a baby which is newly born to talk and to say, Inni Abdullah atani al-kitab, it's a miracle. So this is not requesting Allah to do that. Isa himself is speaking. But we know that Isa is speaking by the help of Ruhul Qudus, which is coming from Allah. The support and the help and the aid is coming from Allah, and the Prophet is doing that. So when Isa talked to people in the cradle, تُكَلِّمُ النَّاسَ فِي الْمَهْدِ وَكَهْلًا وَإِذْ أَلَّمْتُكَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. I taught you the book, so the knowledge you received. وَإِذْ تَخْلُقُ مِنَ الطِّينِ كَهَيْئَةِ الطَّيْرِ بِإِذْنِ. Is تَخْلُقُ, you created. Allah, who is saying this? Allah is saying this. And these Wahhabis and these people, they say it's Shirk. Allah is doing Shirk. Allah says, Isa, you created. You created. You created. Does it mean that you requested for creation or you created? Is تَخْلُقُ. تَخْلُقُ. It's clear. You created. Allah is saying to Isa alayhi salam that you created a bird. But بإذني, by my permission. Is تخلق من الطين كهيئة الطير بإذني. وتبرئ الأكمه والأبرص بإذني. You healed the blind and the leper by my permission. Who healed? Allah or Isa? Isa. تبرئ. تبرئ is clear. You're doing ta'wil, you're doing tafsir batani. They accuse us of tafsir batani, they do tafsir batani themselves. This is very clear that Allah says you healed, you created. وَإِذْ تُخْرِجُ الْمَوْتَى. تُخْرِجُ الْمَوْتَى means you revived the dead. You came to a dead person, you revived him. So you are muhyi. You give ihya. You didn't ask me to do ihya. You did it. You did it by yourself. But bi'izni, by my permission. So you see that to say that the Prophet has no influence here is just asking Allah, is against Qur'an. To say that the Prophet is not capable to do something which is extraordinary is against Qur'an. Allah is very clear in this. All the verbs are being ascribed to Jesus alayhi salam in this verse, to Isa alayhi salam. In Surah An-Naml, when Allah talks about the story of jinn, and also another one who is Asif bin Barkhia. One of the ifrits of jinn, from the jinn said, أَنَا آتِيكَ بِهِ قَبْلَ أَن تَقُومَ مِن مَقَامِكَ. I have the power to bring it to you from the other country before you stand up from your place. How long it's gonna take? Maybe a second or a second and a half. He didn't say Allah will bring after I call it. Inni, I will do that. I do that. Ana atika. Ana atika means clear. Ana, I will bring it. Of course, it's clear that I cannot do it without the permission from Allah. I cannot do it without the... Can I speak without the permission from Allah? Can we walk? Can we talk? Can we do anything without the... Of course, the permission is coming from Allah. Then he said, inni. I am certainly, I am inni alayhi laqawiyyun amin. I am strong. I have the power. He's declaring, I have the power. I can do that. The other one who had ilmun min al-kitab. Ilmun min al-kitab means the one who had min is tabrizi, some of the knowledge of the book. What was his capability? قال الذي عنده علم من الكتاب أنا آتيك. I will bring it. Again, I didn't say I will call Allah, then Allah will bring it. So you see that somebody had such a power. So when you say قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ, these are not prophets. These elites with the Prophet Sulaiman, they are not prophets themselves. But they have such powers. So is it against Qur'an if somebody has some extraordinary power or some extraordinary knowledge? Allah says, we gave him some knowledge of the book. In other verse, in other place, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, suffices for me to be my witness, Allah وَمَنْ عِنْدَهُ إِلْمٌ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ, and the one who has the knowledge of the book. We have abundant many hadiths say that the one who has knowledge of the book is Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam. So how can you expect a person who had ilmun min al-kitab, some of the knowledge of the book, he has the power to carry the throne in less than a blink of eye. Now the one who has the whole knowledge of the book, what can he do when he has the whole knowledge of the book? The Prophet Sulaiman himself, he said, "O people, we have been taught the speech of the bird, and we have been given out of everything. Indeed, this is a manifest advantage." What does it mean? قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ, I'm a person like you. He's declaring that we have fazl mubin, we have a manifest advantage because of being a prophet over you. It's very clear that Allah has given advantages to the prophets. But in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, He said, قَدْ جِئْتُكُمْ, I came to you. Isa in the verse said, قَدْ جِئْتُكُمْ, I came to you, I can give shifa. What does it mean? It means that if you have anyone blind at home, if you have a person suffering from leper, come to me. It means that he was inviting. It doesn't make sense to say that I can give shifa to your blind. So you take your sister who is blind to him and he says, no, I cannot do that. This is nonsense. So it means that people used to go to Isa and Isa used to give shifa to them. And it wasn't shirk. While this was something that in their understanding, this was tad'una min dunillah, to call other than Allah. Shifa is the thing that only Allah can give it. But you are asking Isa for shifa, and Isa is accepting, Isa is not rejecting it. So according to this guy's understanding, those people were mushrik, Isa is mushrik. Because Isa, if he's a prophet, he had to say, no, you should ask only Allah. If calling Isa for shifa is shirk, Isa shouldn't accept it. Isa accepted it, Isa did it, and Allah gave him such authority because this is not shirk. This is not ascribing partners to Allah. Isa said, Bi-iznillah, by the command of Allah. There is a very good explanation by Mirza Jawad Tabrizi, rahmatullah alayhi. He says that Wilayah Takwini is the influence of the will of Imam or the Prophet in something creational, but through the permission to come from Allah. And the permission of Allah is not a permission. When we want to give permission, we say, okay, let's go do it. It's a word. But permission from Allah is the power that Allah gives to the Prophet. Is ayyadtuka bi ruhil qudus. This is the permission. I supported you, I aided you by the Ruhul Qudus, then you had the power. So he says that Wilayah that the Prophet or Imam has is to change the form of things. Musa alayhi salam has the Wilayah, has the capability to change the form of a stick into form of a snake, a serpent. The form is changed by the power from Allah. So the form is changed by the power from Allah, and that is idhn. Ayatollah Subhani, Sheikh Jafar Subhani Hafizahullah, he has a very good explanation here in his book Al-Fikrul Khalid, volume 1, page 192. He goes into details and explains this, and he says that Inna alam al-khalq alamul asbab wal-musabbabat. The life of creation is the system of cause and effect. He says whatever you see from the phenomena in this world, there is a cause for that. So for whatever you see around you, you can look for a cause. It's an effect of a cause. This is how the system is. And at the end, all these causes, they end with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When in different places, Quran says, Allah khaliqu kulli shay. Allah is the creator of everything on the planet. Means in this hierarchy, everything will end with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَالْمُدَبِّرَاتَ أَمْرًا. Allah says there are angels who do tadbir, they manage the creation. Allah gives the permission to the angel, that angel causes another cause, causes another cause, and then the chain of causes to make the final effect. He says this is what we call it Tawhid Af'ali. Tawhid Af'ali means that all deeds end with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the creator of all things, whatever we do. And it was a big question for the Muslims from the very, very first day, from the Muslim thinkers, that when we see that there are things are being done, is it done by us or by Allah? They didn't have an answer to that. We had two groups of Jabriya who were determinists, and the other Mufawwiza who did Tafwiz, and they believed in absolute delegation of power. The question was that when I am speaking, is Allah speaking or I am speaking? A group said, yeah, of course you are speaking. So what is the function of Allah here? Because they didn't have any answer to this. They said Allah has given full authority. Allah has given full authority, then you can speak yourself. Allah gave you absolute power. Allah created, then Allah sort of retired. You are free, everything is in your hand. In your job, in whatever you're doing, Allah is not involved. This was Mufawwiza. They believed in absolute delegation of power to people, absolute empowerment. The other group said, no, it couldn't be like that because Allah is in control of everything. Man is nothing. We are just tools. If I'm speaking, Allah is speaking. And this was the idea that was supported by the Umayyads because it could justify lots of things. Imam Hussein was killed. Why did you kill Hussein? They said, Amrun Quziya fi sama. It was decided in heaven. It wasn't in our hand. When they saw that, another thinkers, they saw that, it's getting crazy. They are doing everything and they are justifying by the pretext that Allah did it. And if you reject it, you are rejecting Qaza and Qadar. So they came with the idea that no, Allah is not in charge of these things. It's absolutely in our hands. So they went another extreme. The school of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam was in the middle. Ahlulbayt alayhim salam said, Amrun baynul amrayn. Not this, not that. Not to say that we are totally disconnected from Allah. Not to say that it's totally in the hand of Allah. Allah is involved. We are also involved. I mentioned the example. For example, when I am speaking, Allah has created my body. I have the body, I have the brain, I have the mouth, I have the teeth, I have the vocal cords, I have the muscles, I have the lungs. Oxygen is there, air is there. My brain commands to the lungs. They move, they put pressure on the vocal cords. Then I use the tongue, then I use the teeth. And the voice is coming and I'm speaking. So here, this is speaking can be ascribed to me, can be ascribed to Allah at the same time. If I want to make it understandable, imagine when you are using vacuum cleaner. You are using vacuum cleaner, but you also use electricity. So you can ascribe cleaning to vacuum cleaner, and also you can ascribe it to the electricity. I ask you, why you didn't clean the room? You say there is no electricity. Means without electricity, how can I clean? So you ascribe cleanness to electricity, but at the same time you ascribe it to vacuum cleaner. You say vacuum cleaner cleaned it. I don't have vacuum cleaner, I have electricity, but I cannot clean. This is the meaning of بِحَوْلِ اللَّهِ وَقُوَّتِهِ. By the electricity, by the power coming from Allah, أَقُومُ وَأَقْعُدُ. I stand, I sit, but through the power coming from Allah. Allah can stop me anywhere, any moment. Allah can disconnect the plug, and I will stop. So it's not Allah's power is there. Allah is not disconnected from our acts, but at the same time, He is in the chain of the causes. He is not the immediate cause. The immediate cause is the vacuum cleaner, but the real cause behind it is the electricity. بِحَوْلِ اللَّهِ وَقُوَّتِهِ. By the might and power of Allah, أَقُومُ وَأَقْعُدُ. I stand and I sit. So when I'm speaking, I am speaking means that it is Allah is giving all these things to me, but I decide what to speak. This is in all acts of us. It's not only about the miraculous acts, extraordinary acts. In all acts of us, this is how the function is. And one side of the act you can ascribe it to human, one side of the act you can ascribe it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we believe that a person is doing something independent from Allah, this is shirk. If you do not believe that it is independent, this is the essence of Tawhid. Then Ayatollah Subhani says, فَلَيْسَ مِلَاكُ التَّوْحِيدِ وَالشِّرْكِ بِأَن تُنْسَبَ الْأَفْعَالُ الْعَادِيَّةِ وَالْأُمُورُ الطَّبِيَّةِ إِلَى الْعِبَادِ. This is what Wahhabis do and what these people do. These Wahhabis among Shia. They say that, okay, now you can be, you cause in the daily acts that you do, but you cannot be cause in the extraordinary things. This point itself is a shirk. What they are saying is a shirk, but they don't understand. I will open it and you will see how, in what sense it is shirk. You know, when these Wahhabis, they are asked, they say that it's haram to call the Prophet. And we say, what's wrong with that? When we call many people in our life, I call my son, bring me a glass of water. I say, oh Ali, oh Hassan, bring me a glass of water. Is it shirk? They say no, because bringing water is an ordinary act, but asking for shifa and healing, this is only Allah can do that, then it's shirk. Ayatollah Subhani is referring to a very delicate point. He says that you saying this is shirk itself. He says ordinary things, no walking, speaking, watching, cleaning, washing, people can do that. And to say that no, healing, reviving a dead person, doing a miracle, this is done by Allah. When you are making such a separation, you are saying that ordinary acts are done by people, extraordinary acts only can be done by Allah. So we say these ordinary acts that you are saying are done by people, are they done by people only, or Allah is also involved there? If you say Allah is also involved there, then again you are saying that Allah is there, Allah is doing this. And if Allah is doing this, what is the difference between this and that? If Allah is doing through a man, what is the difference between ordinary act and extraordinary act? If it is Allah only doing that one and not doing this one, then you're saying that man is independent from Allah in these ordinary acts, and this is shirk. So you said we shouldn't do tawassul because it's shirk. When we do surgery on your claim, we will see that your claim is shirk, because you are saying that extraordinary acts, man is not involved, only Allah is involved. It cannot be through man. It's only Allah. According to your logic, then ordinary acts are done by man. And this is shirk. While you were running from shirk. Isa alayhi salam revived the dead. You can say Allah yuhyi al-mawta. You can say Isa yuhyi al-mawta. Allah yuhyi al-mawta because all the power is from Allah. Allah is reviving the dead. You can say Isa yuhyi al-mawta because it means that Isa was the immediate cause to revive the dead by the help to come from Allah. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the angels of death. Allah yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mawtaha. Allah is the one who takes the souls at the moment of death. So who is taking the souls? Allah. But at the same time Allah says, قُلْ يَتَوَفَّاكُمْ مَلَكُ الْمَوْتَ الَّذِي وُكِّلَ بِكُمْ. The angel of death takes your souls. So when the angel of death takes your souls, is it to negate Allah يَتَوَفَّى الْمَوْتَى? If you say this, then you are mushrik. So what is the justification of these two verses? Allah takes the souls or the angel takes the souls? The angel takes the souls by the permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are like soldiers of Allah, like army of Allah, whose responsibility is to take the souls. There are angels whose responsibility is to make the clouds to rain or to do this, to do that. فَالْمُدَبِّرَاتَ أَمْرًا. And some of them, they have the responsibility to take the souls. But they are doing under the command of Allah, under the permission to come from Allah, and it has nothing to do with shirk.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.